Alright, so this is a tutorial on 2-1 Warpless. Starting out here, I don't have any eggs in this video. You may come in with some from 1-8, just depending on how the salvo fight goes, but it's quite possible to have no eggs. You don't use any eggs in this level, but it's nice if you don't have any to pick up 1 or 2 for the next level. Ideally 2. So starting out, on these first 2 rocks I try to land on the least steep slope, which is this, that slows you down the least. And then here I try to land on the left side of this Koopa so that the Koopa flies out of the shell to the right. Then I can pick him up and swallow him without slowing down at all. But I don't swallow him immediately, because if you swallow an egg while you're bouncing on enemies, it can slow you down. So I wait until I'm over here and then swallow him. Then some of these rocks here will start falling as soon as you land on them. And on those, there's one frame pretty early on. I believe it's the 4th frame you're on the rock, where Yoshi's not actually standing on the rock. So if you press B on that frame, you won't jump at all. So it's really easy to accidentally just walk off of a rock thinking that you jumped and die. So what you want to do is just make sure that you walk along each of these rocks for a little bit before you jump. And then there's no risk of getting your jump eaten. Also try to avoid these red coins, because we can avoid all the red coins in this level, which means we save a half second on the score screen at the end. Last thing in this room is just don't do a pipe glitch on this pipe. It's the only pipe in Warpless that does this, but it will trigger a 1-1 warp, which will disqualify your run. It's actually faster and used in the warps category, but it's not allowed in Warpless. So just press down to get on the pipe. Go up this pipe, and here we do a pipe glitch. This is not a usual pipe glitch, but it triggers a wrong warp as well, but this one's actually allowed in Warpless. It just acts as if you had jumped on this bouncy ball and gone up to the screen exit above. It just saves a little bit of time of jumping over the mid-ring and going up there. And if you don't know what a pipe glitch is, it's just you press down and B on the same frame. And Yoshi will jump up, but it'll trigger the screen exit. Usually it's as if you just went down the pipe, but in this case it's a wrong warp. It acts as a wrong warp. So usually it only saves like a half a second of animation, but in this case it saves more, maybe like a second or a second and a half. This is just an auto-scroller. Not much to say here, except don't die. But when you get to the end of the auto-scroller, we're going to try to get to the left side of the screen as soon as possible. And then wait for this rock right here. I look at kind of the line near the top of the rock where it suddenly gets lighter. And I look for that to line up with the top of this rock. So it's a little bit later than this, maybe about right here. You're going to start holding right. And this just times it so that you hit the right side of the screen just after the auto-scroller ends, so you have full speed going into the next section immediately. It saves about a third of a second over just hugging this wall. Then here, this is a little vertical platforming section. If you want to try to optimize this, just try to make your jumps as short as possible while still making it up to the next platform. And then also jump off of each platform as soon as possible. You can save a good bit of time trying to do this optimally rather than just slowly jumping up. Then right here, just run off of this platform and you'll start falling with full speed immediately. It's just a weird thing that Yoshi physics has. You wouldn't think Yoshi would fall with full speed immediately, but he does. Then try to avoid all these platforms as you're falling, and if you cut this corner pretty close, you can land on this grass rather than landing on the bouncy ball, which saves a little bit of time. If you need another egg, you can grab one from this flower right here. You just want to make sure that you tongue above this pole. You'll do a back tongue above the pole. If you tongue too late and hit the side of this pole, then Yoshi's tongue will just get stuck, and you'll probably lose all your speed as well, but you won't be able to tongue through the post like I'm doing here. This is probably the harder way to grab an egg in this level. There's another one later on, but if you messed up the first egg grab or don't want to do that, this is a good backup. Here's another egg grab. This one's a lot easier, just up-tongue it and swallow. Now right here, you want to jump off of this flat part of the ground. Don't jump at the very right end of it, but anywhere else is pretty much fine. And then just going to up-tongue this guy, and then immediately spit him out here. And make sure that you let go of right for both of those, because if you slow down, it can mess up your position later. And then just hold right and B until you land on this fly guy here, and you'll just naturally land on him. And that'll give you an extended flutter up to this rock. And this just skips having to wait for all these rocks to fall down like you normally would casually. So I try to land on the very left side of this rock so that I can make it up here without scraping the wall. You can do a left right here if it makes it easier, but it's not necessary. And then here you do have to do a left right just to avoid scraping this wall and losing all your speed. And just jump as quickly as possible off these slopes. Do a couple flutters, and if you flutter well enough, you can make it right up here without having to wait for the rock to fall down. And then do a big jump around here, like as big as possible without having to flutter, and you'll avoid both of these red coins, which means you won't collect any coins in this level. And then you just go right into the gold ring. And that is the end of 2-1. You'll notice on the score screen afterwards, since we didn't collect any red coins or any flowers, that saves a half second each for both of those, since it didn't have to count up any of those. So that's a total of a second saved from both of those. And that's it for this level. Thanks for watching.